John Fetterman just had his first televised interview since his stroke back in the middle of May. And in it, he addressed some of the attacks against him over his health difficulties, as well as some of the underhanded attacks from Dr. Oz. Listen to this.
The only lingering issue is every now and then I will have auditory processing, and I might miss a word every now and then, or I might mush two words together then. But that's really the effect of it now.
Does that mean you're having any neurological problems? I mean, to not be able to hear a word here and there, one might think there's other problems besides just that, or it's connected to something more serious.
It's just that. It's just basic auditory processing. And there is expecting to have a full recovery over the next several months too.
And so there, I couldn't identify that host, but well, okay, you're saying it's just that, but what if it was something way worse? What if it was something other than that? Okay, well, convenient to try to turn to that. But anyway, as I said, he also addressed the fact that Dr. Oz has been attacking him in a mocking way, which is one thing, but also directly him and his team attacking him for having had this stroke. Here's his response.
Republicans, your opponents they're making the argument that you're too sick to govern. You said they think it's funny to mock your recovery. How do you convince voters you can do this job?
First, their approach, I always just would say desperation is the worst cologne. And they understand that Dr. Oz's campaign is in shambles. Whether you look at the polls, you look at the fundraising, they've just figured out that, let's appeal to folks that get their jollies, making fun of the stroke dude. And again, if that's your story, tell it the way you got to. But he really should own those words, and he should just acknowledge that as a doctor, you are going around making fun of somebody that had a stroke. And when you look around and realize that there's Pennsylvanians all across the state that have serious health crises in their own life, and I don't think anybody would want a doctor in their lives making fun of them or laughing at their circumstances, but I just happen to have a doctor in my life to do just that.
Yeah, I think look, if you're worried about it, he sounds perfectly lucid there. He was able to communicate. I mean, he might have some sort of auditory processing issue. It didn't even come up in that interview. By the way, people are saying that that's Stephanie Rhule. Does she normally wear glasses? I feel like she looks sort of different. Days. I didn't identify her originally. But anyway, what do you want the guy to do? You want him to take the cognitive test? You want him to person, woman, man, camera, TV? What do you want out of him? He sounds lucid to me. But again, Stephanie Rhule there, who's like, how do you convince people you can do the job? He's leading right now, by the way. How does Dr. Oz convince the people of another state that he doesn't live in that he can do the job? I think that's a more interesting question.
Here's what I have. Here's my interesting question is, so you got Dr. Oz going after Fetterman for his medical issues. And he's saying that like, he had a stroke. Dear Dr. Oz, what's your excuse? Like you're getting your ass handed to you by a Pennsylvanian in your attempt to get that Senate seat, even though you're carpetbagging from New Jersey. What's your freaking excuse? If you say that he is not mentally competent to hold office, yet he is still wiping the floor with your fake ass, what's your goddamn excuse, you sad psychopath?
That was aggressive.
He sucks, man. He's getting his ass kicked.
He's worse.
He's getting his ass kicked by someone who is in a hoodie. Doesn't have to put on a suit to wipe the floor with your ass, Dr. Oz. It's crazy though. I was in a cab or an Uber in Pittsburgh recently, wearing on a shirt, and I was talking to a guy who's very obviously like loves Fox News and loves the messages, and he was like, yeah, I know. Fetterman, he's from around here and he seems to be an all right guy, but he had a stroke. He stroked out, and I don't think he's a leader. So you've got all this messaging going straight into the heart, into the veins of Fox News watchers. But even at the end of it, I asked him, Judith and I were in the car with him, asked him, what is one thing that you think you can find common ground with Democrats on? And he's like, well, I do think we should have universal health care. And this guy who said some horrible things about like the only Democrat I'd vote for would be John F. Kennedy because he talked about personal sacrifice. Also, he was a Catholic and he wouldn't put up with this abortion nonsense and these Muslims. Even that guy was like, yo, I think we should have universal health care. Meanwhile, Dr. Oz is trying to get you to privatize Medicare.
That's true,
No.
He supports miracle pills for all. He does support that.
So ridiculous.
Anyway, he's found a bean that grows on a particular mountaintop and he wants everyone to have access to it. $20 a pill. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.